Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks, and here we are at the official launch of the ASUS TP300, the Flipbook. And we got to check this out at Computex, so I thought that I would do a comparison with the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro. Big fan of this form factor, big fan of this device. So I'm going to let you know what I think about this device, which is extremely similar in form factor, but has a couple of extra goodies. So here is the ASUS Flipbook TP300. It's 13.3 inches and it has the specialized hinge that lets it go to 360 degrees. Now we are doing a comparison, like I mentioned before, that with the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro. So there is a definite difference between the hinges here. So you can see that this is the hinge all the way across, whereas Lenovo's opted for just the single hinge. Now the biggest difference between the hinges are when I pull this one forward, right, and you can see this going around, it's a single hinge, right, because it's a single movement. Whereas if you take a closer look at what's going on with the Lenovo, it's actually a dual hinge system. So if you look at this, you'll see there's one hinge here. You flip this around, and if you keep going, you'll see the second hinge activate there. So, oh, there it goes. Then we have the second hinge down here. So now ASUS is claiming that this is making a much smoother experience when you're opening it up, which is true because you don't have the two movements to deal with. But at the same time, I have to wonder, is that less sturdy or more sturdy? I don't know. There's not really a playbook for comparison right now because these are both so new. But if we keep on going, we pull this around, it's a heavier beast. This is 1.75 kilos, whereas this is 1.4. So when you're kind of manipulating it, you'll see there's a bit more weight and a bit more heft. It's a lot more difficult to control. But the keyboard it's beautiful, actually. ASUS has done a really great job with this keyboard. It's not backlit, but you can see the travel on the keys is actually pretty deep. Now let's give that a bit of a press. It does have a bit of a bounce on it, which is unfortunate to see. So if you are used to, say, the keyboard on the Lenovo, and Lenovo makes some of the best keyboards. Oh, there's a little bit of flex there barely. That's one of the keys moving. So if you are used to like one of the best keyboards on the industry, Lenovo makes those. So you can see that there's almost this kind of like little U shape there, and this is clearly backlit. The travel time's gorgeous. This is one of the best keyboards on a laptop on the market. Now the ASUS, you don't have any kind of special curving on the keys for touch typing, but you still have a very good keyboard. Now, oh, I almost knocked over that water. That could have been an exciting review. So now if we put the trackpads up against each other, you can see that this is smaller than what we have on the ASUS. Now the trackpad's incredibly important when it comes to a laptop. Now people tend to make the argument that you have a touch screen, right? So maybe you don't use your trackpad as much, but you do. These equally have a really nice touch and feel. This one feels a little bit better. It's like glass. It feels gorgeous. You just want to stroke it all the time. This definitely has a nice feeling to it, but definitely not the same. Now I've accidentally opened up Soulcraft with all of my keyboard stroking. Sorry about that. But let's just talk displays. So now let's bump that brightness all the way up, and let's bump this brightness all the way up. So you can see that, well, this is an LCD display, this is an IPS. This is 1920 by 10, or sorry, this is 1920 by 1080, and this is 3200 by 1800. Now, if you have seen my review of the Yoga, one of the things that I did note is that the scaling on Windows 8.1 isn't quite there yet. So I prefer a 1920 display on my laptops anyways, so I wouldn't take that as a negative. Now, one of the other things that you'll notice when we close these up is this has been abused. It's been on the road with me, many different trade shows, no case. It's beat up. But at the same time, this is like September I got this. This is a pre-production unit. And laptops usually don't last longer than 6 months with me. Now, I've had this for 5 minutes and it looks almost as bad. And that's just because the coating on the lid of this device is very, very much prone to fingerprints. So if we take a look at the thickness of the device, we have 22 millimeters here and 15.5 down here, so totally in a different class. As well, you can see the aesthetic design that Lenovo has put in, and this is more just like a straight laptop with the option of having a hinge. So taking a walk around the ASUS, we have the headphone jack, we have 2 USB 3 and HDMI port, and there's the power unit. Over here we have the headphone jack. Oh, sorry, that's not the headphone jack, that is the anti-rotation lock. Up here we have the power button, which is admittedly kind of hard to find. Then we have the volume rocker up here. Here's the headphone jack, and then we have a USB 2 that is capable of charging. So if we take a look around the back, you can see the difference in the hinge. I mean, both of these, my arm's getting tired holding them up. But the hinges, this is going to be one of my main concerns with the ASUS. So the reason why Lenovo went with the double hinge system, so there's a hinge here and a hinge here, whereas ASUS just has a singular hinge here. Lenovo said that it's to maintain the tension on the screen. Now, one of the issues that I think we're going to see evolve over time is with a single hinge, you can kind of see when this opens like this, you don't have very much tension here, right? And as you continue to open it, you have an increasing amount of tension on the hinge here to make sure that it's a nice stiff experience for any position that you want to have it in. But on this side, reversely, we're going to see issues here with the tension. Now, if we look at the Lenovo, we don't really have this problem. Oh, maybe they do a little bit down there. Let's see on this one. Oh. Alright, so we're about here while we can get it to maintain. Let's just take a look at the Lenovo. See, we can get a much lower profile for having it in kind of viewing mode or multimedia mode, as they call it. So that's going to be the main difference between these two hinges. So now continuing on the walk around of this system, one of the things that I want to point out is the configurations on this are amazing. You can get with a GT 820T and 840T. You can get it with 2 SSDs, with 1 SSD and a hard drive, and you are able to do a lot of the upgrading yourself, which is what I like to see. This has the setup of like a traditional laptop from back in the day when you could actually muck around inside. So good work, ASUS, on that one. Okay, now if we keep going, so here we have the, oh wait, I already did that side. Let's keep going to this side. All right, so here we have the Kensington lock. There we have another USB. There's the SD card reader. This, I believe, is probably the anti-rotation lock. There we have the volume, and there we have the power. Now, see, with this one, it's almost difficult to get it back in. So now, just purely taking a look at the profile of both of these machines, you can see that the Lenovo is clearly in a design class of its own. The price point on this is about $1,000, $1,100. The price point on this is about $1,000, $1,100. Now, the questions that we're going to be asking are, what's the difference in configuration, right? Because if you're getting a NVIDIA graphics card on board there, then, well, that's why this is thicker. That's why this is the same price without having the same level of design quality. So this has just been a quick look at the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro versus the ASUS Flipbook TP300. Two extremely interesting convertibles at actually very similar price points.